Welcome back to the John Fredericks Radio Network. You with Colonel Mike and Colleen at the board. Time now is 9:37. This is our last show, December 29th, last show of the year. Wishing everyone a happy new year and a very healthy and happy, safe drive this holiday weekend. On with us, another special guest today on our last show, Ilana Mercer, paleo-libertarian author, columnist, blogger, on many sites. You can find her on Twitter and YouTube. She wrote the book, The Trump Revolution, The Donald's Creative Destruction Deconstructed. And today we're going to discuss one of the articles that she has up on the UNS Review. She's on many sites. And this one is Why Hatred of Whites is Here to Stay. Ilana, welcome to the John Fredericks Radio Network. With Colonel Mike.
Colonel, and Happy New Year. My name is Ilana, Iona. I
always do it like a Spanish style. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me.
I know. You're good with those Italian phrases.
Yes.
And the website is ilanamercer.com.
Thank you, ma'am.
My column appears reliably on WorldNet Daily, occasionally on Daily Caller. This column, Why Hatred of Whites is Here to Stay, was very popular on Daily Caller. The UNS Review, Constitution.com, and Storia, many others. So yes, this column, Why Hatred of Whites is Here to Stay, is in fact, the insights are derived from a book you didn't mention, and that is Into the Cannibal's Pot, Lessons for America from Post-Apartheid South Africa. And that's a book I wrote in 2011. No publisher would touch it, and it's the go-to book about South Africa currently. It seems to be timeless in its insights about America.
Tell me, where are you originally from?
I was born in South Africa and grew up in Israel.
Okay, you grew up in Israel. Okay.
Yes, I
Gotcha.
know a lot about fractious societies which are imperiled.
Okay, so let's talk about this article. This is a very interesting article. It's been around a while on the website. And you probably have more knowledge growing up and being around South Africa. Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, as I say, the insights are derived from Into the Cannibal's Pot, and the book's title is self-explanatory. But let's set the scene first, maybe, because the strength of my book is that it flits between the U.S., which is interesting to your listeners and to all my readers, and South Africa, and takes the lessons from there. Here in the U.S., I think you'll agree, Colonel, that we've seen a litany of normalized assaults on the identity of whites. I don't know what the politically correct expression is. Europeans, Caucasians, pigmentally challenged people, whatever. The latest, I think, was I saw that on Drudge. I don't know if you saw the incident of the University of Wisconsin and Madison will be treating its youth to a course on the problem of whiteness. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah. So notice the phraseology. A problem is something good people get rid of, right?
Correct.
White qua whites are bad. And as a Jew, this very much reminds me of the phrase, the Jewish problem, and how to solve that during the Nazi era. And I don't think, being a South African, I don't think I'm being over-dramatic. What I'm finding is that conservatives, lightweight conservatives, and most seem to me quite lightweight, think that the assault on whites is just goofy, to quote one of our lawmakers. And even the mostly foolish Fox News think that it's very funny. Uprooting racist trees is very funny. But as an ex-South African, let me tell you that demonization of whites is not funny. Yes, there's plenty stupidity involved. We have affirmative action-generated stupid class of intellectuals. I can't call them that. They're not very intelligent. And they are teaching logically erroneous ideas like collective guilt, guilt by association, and they're teaching us to a doomed generation that can't think straight. But these are serious problems. Anti-intellectualism, institutionalized stupidity, these don't result in goofy ideas. Anti-whiteness is not goofy, it's dangerous. And dumbness can be dangerous. And briefly, if we do have time, do we have time, Colonel?
Sure, go ahead.
Good, lovely. There's a genocide expert that I cite in Into the Cannibals part, which is available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Gregory Stanton, and he counts dehumanization as part of the process that leads to violence. And this violence is very much unfolding it's in full swing in South Africa. And I believe that a lot of the crime that we see in the U.S. is never mentioned as, racially motivated against the pigmentally challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly the ruling American idiocracy, am I being too strong?
No, go ahead.
Preaches that all these fractious minorities that we are importing and empowering will absolutely give up race and tribe as identities or as unifying principles, and they will embrace the U.S. Constitutional design.
Well, they're the same people, I think, that said the tribal stuff is over in the Middle East, as we saw in Iraq and other parts, and Afghanistan. And tribal stuff is always going to be there, whether you're white, black, or whatever.
Exactly.
It's just the nature of the beast and the nature of the human person. And case in point is Charlottesville. You know about Charlottesville, Virginia. We're in Virginia. Charlottesville, everybody thought they had the right, to go out there and do what they wanted to do. Yes, you have a right to protest, and maybe, if he wants to be a white person with a gun or a Nazi symbol, fine. That's not hurting you until the violence starts. But what they did is they created this channel of anger and this channel to have these riots so that they can do the election this year. And case in point is the governor did win.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Afghanistan and Iraq, all those invasions are very much based on the idea that America is a propositional nation. We are not based on history, language, tradition. Mm-hmm. We are based on an idea that anybody in the world can embrace. Wrong.
Wrong, exactly wrong.
Exactly.
It doesn't work for everyone.
And this is what is going to be the end of us if we can't prevent this. And this is exactly the self-immolation and destruction that the white minority in South Africa fell for. Well, they didn't really fall for. They were
force-fed it. They were force-fed it, weren't they?
Exactly. They were forced into accepting that.
Mm-hmm.
And on good faith, what happened, they surrendered political dominance in return for this non-racial, constitutional, liberal democracy. By giving up, and this is the point of the column as well as a point made in the book, by giving up control over the state apparatus, South African whites gave over, how would one say, mastery over their future, and they vested their very survival in a political dispensation. And now they're fully believed, they imagined that their compatriots, the Africans in South Africa, who control the state right now, and that they would be bound by the same political ideas, abstractions, if you will,
mm-hmm.
and that they would relinquish race in favor of this design, this constitutional idea. If we come back to America, like South Africa, this is the point I make in the column, America is, you can't change history, can you, Colonel?
No. But we're trying to by pulling down statues.
Settlers.
We're trying to by pulling down statues. We think somehow that's going to make it better.
Yes, and if I may just say, President Trump, no one seems to defend him on this issue, and he himself seems incapable, but he was right saying that there were some good people there defending Robert E. Lee as a great American.
Mm-hmm.
And I would do the same. But back to the point, like South Africa, America is a creation of European settlers, right?
Correct.
And however much you stroke fragile ethnic egos, what was created in South Africa, when we left, there was a space program, and there certainly are still skyscrapers. This was not the product of the people who are currently dismantling the country.
Mm-hmm.
It was the creation of British and Dutch settlers in the 1600s and their descendants, much like the U.S.
Correct.
So the point I'm making here is important, and there are two things that imperil South Africans and Americans, and that is the settlers stateside and in South Africa are in danger for this reason, for precisely what they've created on the respective continents. They are forever the object of envy, right, and racial hostility. And secondly, for the original sins in South Africa, it's apartheid, and in America, it's slavery.
Slavery, yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So for those two undergirding aspects are not going away. You cannot take away this history that was created by certain people, and you cannot take away the original sin that keeps being tossed at whites. And it doesn't matter. Back to the intellectual idiocracy under which we labor. It doesn't matter that most individual whites, you and I, my anti-Semitic readers remind me I'm not white, but most individuals are not culpable. No one is guilty of apartheid or slavery. Most people today are innocent of those sins. And that's really the point of the column, that these ideas and these very powerful facts of history and of human nature, as you point out, are why hatred of whites is here to stay.
Also, America was involved in being the architects of this catastrophe for South Africa. Let's face it. I remember years ago on PBS and NPR how everybody was jumping up and down that they were going to go out there and, help all this. And, Americans are really, that the Americans are not really well educated on other matters around the world as we should be.
No, and you're absolutely right. And I have extensive pieces on my website, ilanamercer.com, on the architects of, I call it the axis of Anglo-American evil, which orchestrated the dispensation in South Africa. I mean, there were intellectuals like Zulu, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, and other people who had figured out a decentralized dispensation for South Africa, much like we were born of. America was born of a decentralized autonomous states, right? Mm-hmm. They had figured that out, but America, and under Republicans, I should add, Republicans.
Correct.
Yep. The Republicans then turned on Reagan when he said constructive engagement in South Africa. They turned on him and they said, no, one man, one vote. And you know how that ends in Africa. One man, one vote, one time.
Mm-hmm. It's very sad.
Yeah, we are very culpable, as you point out.
And right now we have the same situation. I don't know if you're aware of this. Since the 60s, Americans have spent $22 trillion with a T dollars fighting the war on poverty. And part of that war on poverty was also the affirmative action issue, because people always talk about reparations. Well, I see that as reparations were paid 4 times over by having the war on poverty. And there wasn't just blacks that were poor. There were whites, and the illiterates were both white and black. Mm-hmm. However, during my time in the 60s going to school, I was passed over like Michael Savage to go to a college because of my race, that I had to let someone go forth ahead of me because I was white. And that was the beginning. That was the end of the beginning of the civil rights. Was the end of the race riots, but it was the beginning of the civil rights where I was passed over. But there's an expression I heard the other day you're going to like, which says, truth doesn't change people. Repetition creates persuasion.
Exactly.
And that's the truth.
Truth on the ground, and you are absolutely right. And just to make the point of poor whites, these are the people that elected Trump. I don't know if he's living up to expectations, but there is an essay into the Cannibal's Pot that addresses this, and Jim Webb also spoke very eloquently, also a son of the South, about the incredible poverty and how poor whites who serve in the military are duped by these ideas we've just discussed, and are passed over for education. And certainly affirmative action hurts them tremendously.
Well, I would say to you, if you had to go to a doctor and get a heart surgery, I was in the Navy first. I want a captain to man the ship, and I don't care what color he is, as long as he went to school and he knows how to man the ship or the fleet. However, I don't want a doctor doing surgery on me or a cruise ship because a guy had affirmative action. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that.
This reality on the ground is just, you can't reverse it. It's everywhere. You see it in women who are, the other day, a retarded woman, I think she was a professor, was talking to Tucker. I mean, he couldn't get over it. I hope I'm not being too
No, that's fine.
correct.
No, listen, I'm with you. And
she was a feminist. I mean, how did she get to be a professor in an Ivy League? I mean, the woman was impaired.
Well, we have San Diego State came out with yesterday or the day before. San Diego State's claiming that farmers markets now are weed-like white spaces that create cultural racism. Did you ever hear such insanity?
Oh, no. What are we going to do when we're not allowed to buy local?
Yeah. See?
I mean, being a southern agrarian at heart, I love to support my local growers.
Mm-hmm. Are you on the West Coast? Are you on the Pacific Northwest?
Washington State.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state.
Country, Colonel.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful country, but Kings County is all blue, right? It's blue from...
Pinko country, the entire... I think the inland less so, but it's very lonely and alienating here.
I was in Spokane, I think, beginning or middle of November. I was in Spokane. First time I was ever there. Nice people, nice location, a little cold. Then we went over the border to Idaho to look at some factory. And very nice. I mean, very nice place. But like you said, it's all pinko.
Well, Idaho's good.
Idaho's beautiful. Idaho's really,
really
good.
But the people are hardcore.
Hardcore, yes, they are.
Yeah, no, here it's hopeless. Very, very cold. Northern freeze.
Right. And how do you take that weather? Do you travel a lot?
I love the. I know. The people are cold. I love the weather. The weather's quite temperate.
Okay, good. Well, it's interesting to have you on. And this is your second time. We hope to have you on our show a little bit more often coming in the next year.
I would love to, and it was lovely meeting you.
Yes, and is there any plans for 2018?
Yes, I hope I will have another book, and this time, I won't show my cards. You have me on again, but I do hope your listeners check me out on ilanamercer.com.
Yes.
And the column is syndicated quite widely by myself, so anyone who wants it, just contact me.
Thank you, Miss Mercer, and very happy
and
blessed
Happy New
Year
to you.
Bye-bye now. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.